Hello everybody, Melon here. Welcome back to another Gundam Evolution video. Today we will be talking about New Gundam, the newest Gundam joining the Gundam Evolution roster. Now, New Gundam's abilities on paper look insane, and the kit is, to be completely honest with you, borderline game-changing. However, there's a pretty big difference between characters that look really good on paper and whether they actually are good in-game. So today's video, we're going to be focusing on whether New Gundam is actually going to be a good character in the game, and we'll also be discussing whether you should be unlocking New Gundam over other unlocked units in the game, such as Exia, which is the mainstay of the Season 1 meta. There's a lot to go over today, so let's just get right into it. Quick note before we get started, all the data in this video is compiled from the Gundam Evolution Twitter accounts, their blog posts, and their official YouTube channel. On launch day, there will most likely be some different values in terms of damage, cooldowns, and other stats on the unit, but overall I don't think there's going to be any changes that are significant enough to change how the unit's going to behave overall, so just keep that in mind going forward. Alrighty, let's start off with some quick basics about New Gundam. So to start off, New Gundam has a pretty sizable health pool totaling around 1,200 health points, putting it kind of in the tanky category of the roster along with Marashai, Dom, Trooper, and Gun Tank. Similar to New's tanky counterparts, New only has one dash bar, but it is an extended dash bar similar to how Dom Trooper has. However, rest assured, New Gundam is not a sitting duck of a tanky character, quote unquote. They have some interesting tricks up the sleeve in terms of movement, which we'll cover in a little bit, but let's first talk about New's primary rifle. Alrighty, so New Gundam's primary rifle is a beam rifle very similar to RX-78, which is very optimized for medium to close range combat. The beam rifle has a magazine of 12 with a very quick reload of approximately 1 second from what I've seen so far. I doubt it'll be this fast at launch, but we'll see what happens. In terms of damage, the rifle will hit for 160 to the body, and it will do a surprising 320 damage for crits. In regards to accuracy, whenever the weapon is shot from hip fire, there will be a little bit of accuracy loss, but not enough to make it unreliable at close range, and when it is ADS, there will be basically zero accuracy loss, again very similar to RX-78's primary. Now on paper, this primary seems incredibly strong, especially with such a large magazine and such a fast reload. My guess is that on live it will not be this strong, and or there will be high damage fall off similar to how GM's primary works, because again, a better RX-78 rifle with a bigger mag and a faster reload sounds a little strong in my opinion, but we'll have to see how it is on live. However, this weapon gets even stronger when we start to talk about the fin funnel active skill. Alrighty, so this fin funnel ability makes up the core of New Gundam's kit. Now there's a lot of weird oddities about this ability, but I'll kind of break it down as easy as I can for everyone. So basically, for starters, when you activate the fin funnel ability by default, it will send out 2 funnels onto a targeted unit that deal additional damage. However, the fin funnel ability interacts with the rest of New Gundam's kit in terms of a mark kind of mechanic. The TLDR for this ability is basically whenever a New Gundam hits an enemy unit with any of their abilities, aside from the funnel or the G maneuver, it applies a mark onto the enemy unit. These marks serve as kind of like a consumable attack debuff, if that makes sense, on an enemy unit. Now, I don't know if you can apply multiple marks to multiple units at the same time. We haven't been able to test that, unfortunately. I'm going to assume you cannot with how strong this skill is. We'll have to wait till live to see how it actually functions, but basically what happens is once you mark a unit, you can mark a unit to a maximum of 2 marks, you can consume the marks to add more fin funnels onto the active skill 1's attack. Now, there has been a lot of conflicting information as to what the total damage the funnels do and the respective cooldowns. One video from the Gundam Evolution Twitter showed the fin funnels dealing around 384 damage in 8 shots with an 8-second cooldown, while the mission briefing the Season 2 video on Gundam Evolution's official YouTube channel showed 2 fin funnels doing 192 damage in 4 shots with a 3-second cooldown. And to make matters even more confusing, the Season 2 update blog post on the official website says that the fin funnels attacks and numbers scale with the number of marks, but none of that has been referenced in any of the video footage put out so far, so unfortunately right now we kind of have to guess on what this ability is going to do. So going off of my best guess, I'm going to assume that the damage values for the fin funnels seen in the mission briefing Season 2 YouTube video are correct, and the cooldown values we saw in the Twitter videos are the proper ones. So based off the values we just discussed and doing a little bit of guesstimating, my guess is that 1 fin funnel is going to do a total of 96 damage, and then with no mark and 2 fin funnels is going to deal with a total of 192 damage with an 8-second cooldown. With 1 mark and 4 fin funnels, there will be a total of 384 damage with an 8-second cooldown. And lastly, with 2 marks and 6 fin funnels, there will be a total damage of 576 damage with an 8-second cooldown. Now, for those of you who are interested, if you take the damage numbers from the social posts, if you have a unit with 2 marks with the other damage values, they would take a total of 1,152 damage from the fin funnels alone, on top of the approximate 640 to 1,280 damage it would take for them to mark the target 2 times. Gundams. Now, thankfully for us, the Gundam Evolution devs aren't Blizzard, so I'd be absolutely shocked if New Gundam actually released with that high of a potential damage output. Regardless of the damage values, this ability is straight up broken. Even considering units that have extra HP given by shield and units that have armor reductions, New Gundam can literally just Thanos snap units from existence within seconds, especially when you consider it takes approximately 648 damage to 1280 damage to mark a target 2 times, and then you have the fin funnel damage on top of that. This character is going to be crazy and absolutely game-changing. But speaking of little game-changing kind of quirks, let's talk about New Gundam's tricky little movement ability. The New Gundam's active skill 2 is called the Hyper Bazooka. Based on what we've seen so far, it is a fast-firing rocket that deals about 400 direct damage and has an 8-second cooldown. But there is more than meets the eye about the bazooka. So the really interesting thing about this one is that during the cast animation for the bazooka, if you input a direction, you will actually perform a dash in the inputted direction. Now, I'm not sure about the distance of this dash or whether it's going to be similar to like a Pale Rider dash or that kind of stuff. I'm also not sure if you can rocket jump with this ability or use it as like a hover dash in midair. There's a lot of testing I'll have to do in-game, but this ability has a lot of potential. My assumption is that it'll be used more of a disengage tool based on the damage values, but we'll have to see how it performs in-game. But if you're looking for abilities that have a crazy amount of potential, let's go ahead and talk about New Gundam's G maneuver. So New Gundam's G maneuver is called the Fin Funnel Barrier. This ability, when used, basically forms a giant cube shield around New Gundam that will last for approximately 10 seconds and has an HP pool of 3,200. The really interesting quirk about this is that this barrier will block all enemy-based sources of damage coming from outside the ability. However, it does not block damage from the inside of it, so if a Zeku 2 gets inside of it, he can do damage freely, but it will block anything from the outside of this barrier. On top of blocking all the damage, while this ability is active, fin funnels will actively fly out in an area surrounding New Gundam and automatically attack enemies. They will not mark them, but it just does consistent damage. And as if that wasn't enough, during the ultimate, the cast time on the Hyper Bazooka will also be cut down. I don't know how much of a cooldown reduction it's going to get. I'm assuming it's going to be half, so it goes from 8 to 4 seconds. The G maneuver basically turns New Gundam into a wrecking ball who can just protect his team and death ball through choke points and that kind of stuff. It's going to completely change how a lot of maps are played. Maps like Flak Fort, Missile Base, and Underground Command Center are very defender-sided at some choke points, but with New Gundam's introduction and the G maneuver, now these choke points are going to be a lot harder to hold now that you have an impervious Gundam running at you with their entire team inside them. So it's going to be a really interesting change. The G maneuver also has some really interesting applications for destruction maps where the G maneuver is going to cover New Gundam trying to plant and defuse bombs as well. So similarly to the rest of New Gundam's kit, the G maneuver is going to be a game-changing. It's going to be incredibly strong, and there's going to be a lot of strategies formed around this unit, which kind of ties into my next point, which is going to be, will New Gundam be a meta character in Season 2? Is New Gundam going to be meta? Should you even unlock New as opposed to Exia? Well, yeah, absolutely. New Gundam is going to be a meta pick, absolutely. There's no way around that. New has the most versatile and controlling kit in Gundam Evolution right now. Keep in mind also that we haven't even had the opportunity to test New Gundam out in-game yet. We could go in-game and find New Gundams even stronger, that has even more high of a skill ceiling than we're already seeing. Or we could go into game and see that the damage numbers are even half of what they're going to be, but realistically speaking, I don't think it's going to matter. New Gundam's G maneuver alone is enough to make New a meta pick. And again, like, we don't even know how New Gundam is going to operate with Methacell. We don't know how energy cable is going to work with the fin funnels. There's so many questions, but all these questions kind of point to New Gundam just being an insanely strong core meta pick going forward. And then there's the question of whether you should unlock New over the other units in the game. Absolutely. Again, everything's pointing to this character being the unit for Season 2. Exia, I don't think is going to be as big of a threat anymore. Like, Marshai, I don't think is going to be as good of a threat. Maru is still a bit of a question mark, but with an ultimate that blocks all damage sources coming from the front, it doesn't even matter if Maru got buffed. New Gundam's just going to walk all over them. So absolutely unlock this character. It'd be silly not to. Alrighty, well, that's enough of me rambling and all my speculation on New Gundam. I'd love to know what you guys think of New Gundam. Do you think his character is going to be insane like I think, or do you think his character is going to be bad? Let me know down in the comments down below. I'd love to see what everyone thinks about this character. But yeah, that is it. I will see you guys in Season 2, which launches on November 30th, and we'll see you guys then. Thank you again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.